say somebody needs to feed the cats. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer.
To infinity and beyond.
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth.
Well, you really fix yourself up good this time.
Creating measurable results for people like you and families like yours. No longer a member of the amateur ranks. I am the Professional Noticer.
Will you be checking out today, Mr. Conlon?
Chance of departure today, 100%.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. While our topics might seem to vary wildly at times, it is because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, we will field questions about business, spiritual issues, popular culture, and what constitutes proper attire for the big annual Chamber of Commerce dance. My purpose here, today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by Kamado Joe Grills, a better product and a better color. I wrote that last part myself. Observations and answers. That's what we do here. Every week I toss out a few observations and you provide the questions. Then we harness common sense and wisdom to plow through the issue all the way to an answer for you. So, here's what I'm seeing this week. I actually read a USA Today poll. I didn't say I read USA Today. I said I read a USA Today poll. And it said that less than 50% of the people in the United States consider themselves happy or fairly happy. Now, to be fair, it says less than 50% of the people polled in the U.S. consider themselves happy or fairly happy. And so it doesn't say how many people were polled. I mean, they could have gone down to a beauty salon and asked Edna and Gladys and what they thought their husbands thought. So I don't know how many people they polled, but here's the other part of it. It says only 40% of those consider happiness in their control. Very curious. Now, see, here's the questions I have. When I read that, I wonder, or I think, have you ever known a poor person who was happy? Yeah, I have. You ever known a rich person who was unhappy? Yeah, I have. Have you ever known a sick person who was happy? Have you ever known a healthy person who was unhappy? Have you ever known a person who they knew it was terminal? I mean, like within the week, they knew they could die anytime, and yet they were happy? Have you ever known a person just in the prime of their life and perfect health and money and everything, and then they were unhappy? Okay, so I think that happy is the wrong question. I'm a firm believer that if you're not getting the answer you want, you need to change the question. And I think up and down the line, happiness is kind of ethereal. I think happiness comes and goes. I think gratefulness is a key. Now, I do understand. You're probably saying, hey, whoa, Andy, we read The Traveler's Gift. One of the 7 decisions is today I choose to be happy. Okay, but the only break I can ask for there is I wrote it 20 years ago. I think it stands up. I think it works. And I think if you read the decision, I think that it makes the sense that I intended. I just think I've become maybe a little better at explaining it, because I think happy choosing to be happy. I don't think somebody can go, wow, 5 seconds ago, I chose to be happy. And now I really am. I mean, that's just kind of stupid. All right. But I do believe that somebody can choose to be grateful, and the feeling that they have that comes about because of it, we kind of call that happiness. But I think that contentment, that feeling of peace, that feeling of purpose, I think that's better described with the word joy. Because happy to me, I don't know, happy to me seems kind of like a 5-year-old thing, or it's something that we use in everyday conversation. You happy? Yeah, man, I'm happy. Okay. Oh my gosh, your goldfish died. Are you unhappy? Yeah, I'm really sad. Hey, your team won. Yeah, man, we are so happy. Yeah. Oh, we lost. Oh, we're not happy anymore. But I think that again, I think gratefulness is the key. But you know how we said just a minute ago that if you're not good with the answer, you need to ask a different question. I think people come to wrong conclusions a lot. I think a ton of the time people they don't go to the bottom of the pool on an answer. They're not even really sure what they believe. And so when we look at a USA Today poll that says less than 50% of the people polled in the U.S. consider themselves happy or fairly happy, and only 40% of those consider happiness in their control, I think we need to remember that there's a lot of wrong conclusions happening anyway, right? I mean, you can go out and find people who think a rabbit's foot is lucky. It wasn't for the original owner. Right? I don't know if it is or is not for you, but for the rabbit, that was not a good deal. There's conclusions people make. How about this? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Oh, really? Seriously? I mean, sticks and stones, yeah, they can break your bones, but I have seen wounds from sticks and stones heal so quickly in comparison to the injuries caused by words. And even when we are able to forgive, there's still a memory. There's still that, I don't know what that thing is, but don't think words don't matter. Words really, really matter. Okay. I remember being in a line. It was a couple or 3 years ago. I was in a line signing books. And there were a lot of people lined up waiting. And this guy, I finished signing just one lady and take a picture. And then this guy comes up and he says, "Hey, Andy, and he said his name. And before he said, I don't know if you remember me or not, but before he ever said that, I was like, yeah, I know who you are. Because in the 6th grade, this guy really embarrassed me on the playground in front of a bunch of people. I mean, I'm not kidding about this, but he said something to me that really embarrassed me. It's an odd thing that at my age, that would still crawl all over me in that moment. And I had to stop and remember, hey, come on now. You're an adult. This has been years. He's a different person. You're a different person. I really want, I mean, honestly, there for a second, I want to say, hey, would you step over to the monkey bars? I would like to whip your butt. But man, that's those words. It's wrong conclusions. People say they're trying to raise great kids. No, you don't want to raise great kids. You want to raise kids who become great adults. It's two different things. Here's a wrong conclusion. People say, what you don't know can't hurt you. Really? Oh, my friend, what you don't know can hurt you and hurt you badly. It's better to know. Yeah, I look at that last half of that USA Today poll, about 40% considering happiness in their control. And I don't know if control is the right word there either, but I do know that there are choices that we make. There's the thinking that we have that creates at least a pathway. And I've got a couple of questions for you as we segue out of this observations part. I would ask you, is there an area of your life where you've given up? And is there an area of your life where you're holding on too tightly? Because somewhere there in the middle is that sweet spot. Not close to where you've given up, and not close to where you're clamping on so tightly that you can't function. There is a balance that we're trying to get to. It's a passion, your passion, and the purpose. You know, you hear people talk about a head-heart connection. When the passion of the person meets the purpose of what you're doing, that's where your head-heart connection will occur. And I want to urge you, as we get into this week's question, I want to leave you with this thought, and that is, I want you to love the calling that you have, but not fall in love with the calling you wish you had. We all have a calling. We all have certain talents, certain gifts. Learn to love the gifts you have, and not to fall apart over the gifts that you don't have. That does lead us to a question. What is your calling? What gift do you have? We'll explore that in just a minute. Hey, this week's sponsor of the Professional Noticer is Kamado Joe Grills. You can find Kamado Joe Grills not just on my back deck. You can find Kamado Joe Grills at all the better retailers and also at KamadoJoe.com. KamadoJoe.com. This grill is the most extraordinary grill. I used to have grills of a different color, and they were great. They were great, but when you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know that there's a difference in great and best, I'm telling you, just go to KamadoJoe.com. These grills are so much better, and they were created by two guys that really were in the middle of grilling, but they were frustrated by the quality, by the pieces on one of the grills that they were using. And, think about this. Have you ever been in the middle of doing something you love, only to be frustrated by the quality of the tool? They reverse engineered what was great on the market and created the best Kamado grill you have ever seen in your life. I'm telling you, it's better quality, it's smarter features, more innovative accessories. It's the story of Kamado Joe. And my wife, Polly, absolutely loves our Kamado Joes. We have two of the big ones. I mean, these are big monster grills, and she can literally lift the lid of that grill with her little finger. This counterbalanced hinge, stainless steel thing inside it with some hydraulic thing. Now, I'm describing this, and you may think, oh my God, that must be very expensive. Listen, they're not extravagant, but they're not cheap. You will be passing this grill on to your grandchildren. I'm just telling you, they will outlast you. Again, it's the world's best ceramic cooker, KamadoJoe.com. Observations and answers. Yeah, that's what we do here. I deliver the observations. You provide the questions. And questions are a critical component of the person you and I aspire to become. No one should be embarrassed to ask a question. The person who never asks a question, they either know everything or they know nothing. Always remember, the quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. This week, our question is from Yvonne. She's from Georgia. Let's listen.
Hello, Andy. I am calling in, obviously, to get your advice. I really need to find another job. The one that I have is a perfectly good, stable job, but I feel like my life is being wasted. The work is just really boring, and it doesn't leave me feeling that I have made any kind of real contribution. I just do a lot of data entry, including some accounts payable duties for a large church. Very routine stuff. If you think about a hamster in a wheel and then you put that hamster in a wheel in Groundhog Day, you'll kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what I want to move towards. The bottom line is I'm afraid to leave the stability. But I'm also afraid to stay and continue feeling like I'm not really living. I have felt stuck for so long that my confidence level is low at this point. I feel like some sort of action step would be a great start and hopefully have a great effect in every area of my life. Now, I do oil paint, and I hope someday to be able to do that full time. Realistically, however, that won't be a quick growth prospect. So in the meantime, I would like to do something in the work week that offers some sense of fulfillment. I want to leave a good legacy. I really want my life to matter, and I would really like to enjoy what I do. It's so easy for me to believe this is possible for other people and so easy for me to encourage them, and yet when it comes to myself, it can be very difficult. I guess I feel like at my age I should have figured this out, but obviously I have not. So thanks for any help that you can offer.
All right. Thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate you sending that question. And I have a copy of the question, a copy of your letter here with me so that I could not only hear it, but I could read these words. And I got to tell you that I chuckled when you got right there to the end. So I feel like at my age I should have figured this out, but obviously I haven't. I chuckled because I'm thinking, well, at what age are we supposed to have things figured out? Because I know I'm not there yet. I wonder, there's times in my life that I thought, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is absolutely what I'm supposed to be doing the rest of my life. And then I find out, sometime later that was necessary. That was preparation for another part of my life, but it's not necessarily what I'm supposed to be doing the rest of my life. Even as important as I thought it was, or as critical as I figured that timing was, it's kind of a evolving door, not a revolving door, but an evolving door. I have a very wise friend, and he actually is our Sunday school teacher. His name is Will Baker, and Will, he says that on the last day of your life, you should be faced with the toughest challenge ever. If you're really living your life climbing the mountain, Will says you can climb the mountain or you can, roll down the mountain. He said, but that pathway of servant, that pathway of a person who is becoming, we're always climbing the mountain. And so, according to Will, he says it should get steeper and steeper. So I don't know that there is a time or an age that we should have things figured out. So certainly don't feel bad about that. All right. Now, I understand why you feel this aggravation, confusion. I think because I see, you say you have a good job, a stable job, but you feel like your life is being wasted. Well, I want to refute that right off the bat. Before we even move to anything else, I want to refute the possibility that your life is being wasted. You say you feel like you haven't made any real contribution. Listen, your homework right now is to go read The Butterfly Effect. I don't feel like every week I'll be telling somebody to go read my books, but I think you need to read that book again. I know you've already read it, but everything you do matters. Now, curiously, everything you don't do matters too. Every move you make, everything turns the world into in a different direction. This is a law. This is not a theory. The butterfly effect, as you know, it was a theory in 1963 when Edward Lorenz presented to the New York Academy of Sciences and was laughed out of the place. But this idea that a butterfly could flap its wings on one side of the world and set molecules of air in motion that move other molecules of air in motion, that idea became actually, it was given the status of a law in the mid-90s when physics professors and college physics guys, all these people working in concert around the world, it proved that it was accurate and it was viable, and it gave it the status of law. The law is the law of sensitive dependence upon initial conditions. So I just remind you and point you to this just so that the other things I feel like I can answer. I feel like I've got a good answer for some of this other stuff, but it bothers me that you feel like you have not made a contribution. Because I'm just telling you, even if I did not know, see, I don't always know who writes these letters in, okay, but I know who you are. And I don't know a ton about you, but I know that you have made a difference in my life. And so to feel like you haven't made a huge contribution, I just want to make sure you know you are wrong about that, okay? I understand the feeling about not being sure what you want to move toward. And I want to get through this part really quickly because something just hit me like crazy in your letter. You say that most of your job experience is in office settings and you do like projects and the challenge is something new. And the bottom line is that you're afraid to leave the stability. All of us are kind of afraid to leave stability. But in reality, there is no stability. I mean, in really anything. Maybe there is in your faith, but on this earth, there is no absolute sure rest of your life kind of thing. I mean, I've known, just like you've known, people who they thought they had enough money that they couldn't possibly spend it all. They couldn't possibly lose it, and crazy things happen. There's things that happen with us governmentally. There's things that happen with us environmentally, and certainly things that happen financially. And one of the things that I realized a number of years ago is the level of somebody's maturity is their ability to live in confusion, I guess, for lack of a better word, to be able to live in ambiguity, to be able to live in some uncertainty. Because even the people who feel like they have stable jobs, the people who feel like they have stable situations, I got news for them. I mean, whether we have been in this situation or somebody else that we know has been in this situation. I talked to somebody the other day that worked for a huge company, and the people and had been there for like 15 years. I mean, a huge company, and was like a mid-level person, wasn't one of the executives, wasn't one of the last hired. And somebody came in the office on Friday and told them they were shutting down and they were all gone. They're shutting down that part of this massive business that everybody's heard of this business. These people do commercials all the time, but it just out of the blue. Our lives, and I'm not trying to scare you, but I am telling you, you can take more control. We can have control of our feelings, knowing that there is an uncertainty, and that we can have a faith that moves beyond that uncertainty. Now, I understand that to this point, my answer to you has been pretty fluffy. I mean, it's been pretty. Come on, Yvonne, you can field. I mean, I understand that, and I understand the need for that sometimes, but I also want to give you some hard reality about you right now that I think you need to hear, and I think it's probably gonna blow your mind. All right, and here's what it is. When I was looking at this, we look at the letters, obviously, and listen to the question. Well, Matt, who's right across from me, hi Matt. Hey there. Matt waved. He was looking at some stuff on the computer, and he was looking, checking you, and he said, after this part about, I oil paint and hope someday to be able to do that full time. I noticed you seem to kind of blow that off. I oil paint and hope sometime, to be able to do that full time. Realistically, however, that won't be a quick growth prospect. In the meantime, all right. See, I would like to ask you a question. And my question to you, Yvonne, would be, if money were no object, if stability were no object, if financial consideration, life, legacy, if none of that even had any bearing on anything, what would you do every day? What gives you the most, is just exciting to you, it gives you the most fulfillment, it feels like you feel like it's the gift that you have been given. Because I got to say, I mean, just reading this and hearing, I oil paint, hope someday to be able to do that full time. That sounds to me like somebody who, I mean, I could probably tell you, what do I do sometimes? I woodwork sometimes. I do some woodwork, and one day I'd like to. That would be ridiculous because I'm not really that good at woodwork. It's just kind of an interesting thing for me, and that's kind of the deal that I get from you. Is that I hope to be able to do that one day, but I get the kind of picture of somebody who's bought a paint by number set and mixes the oils there and paints it by number, and that's what I get from what you're saying. And so I really kind of, I mean, you blow over that so quickly. And then, so in the meantime, I'd like to do something in the work week that offers some sense of fulfillment. I want to leave a good legacy. I want my life to matter. I'd really like to enjoy what I do. It's easy for me to believe this is possible for other people. So easy for me to encourage them. I understand that. And yet, when it comes to myself, it can be difficult. Well, you blew across the oil paint thing so quickly, I didn't really think a lot about it until Matt, a little while ago, said, she's really good. And I said, what? And he said, Yvonne, her paintings are really quite excellent. And I said, how do you know what her paintings are like? Where have you seen a painting she did? And Matt said, I looked at her Facebook. I know her last name, and so I'm looking at her Facebook account. I said, show me a picture. And so he turned the computer around and he comes over and he scrolls through. And I said, wait. Is that a photograph or is that a painting? And he said, the beach, that's a painting. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we sit here and look at this, Yvonne, and the one that you have of the beach with the waves and the clouds. Oh my gosh. But I got to tell you, as we scrolled down through, and I saw the Christmas ornament and the Santa Claus and the dog and the bird with the sheet music and the pumpkins and the sea turtle, you are really mistaken about, or I don't think you have a great idea of what you can do to turn this into a living. And that is, I hate that because I feel like, I've known who you are. I've known who you were for a while, and I've never seen any of this. And I didn't know you felt this way. And so let me I want to give you a straight answer here really quickly. Obviously, I work with a lot of corporations, and I help them do incredible things. I'm a nobody, so I can't afford to have just normal results. I got to help companies double or triple. And that's the only way I get any credit for anything with it. And so the way of doubling and tripling, the way of making huge things happen, it always occurs in a way that not everybody's thinking. It's the other direction. You're not doing what everybody does. Okay, well, as an oil painter or as a painter, I can see how you would think, well, I have a ways to go, or I don't have a market for this, or I can't just stop and people buy it. But here's the thing I see. You have amazing ability, but you have not marketed this correctly, because you can create a career immediately if you will answer the question. You already have your passion. This is your passion, it's painting. Okay, well, what value does that have for other people? Now, that's a tricky question, because I'm not saying, how can you get a job doing it? How can I get somebody to commission me? How can I get somebody to buy my paintings? How can I get somebody to hang my paintings in their store? I'm not saying that at all. But you see the dog? There's a dog you got there. I think it looks like a little West Highland Terrier or a Yorkie or something like that. It's coming out of a little blanket. Let me tell you something. I would not buy that picture. I don't really like those kind of dogs that much. But if that was a picture of my dog, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. See the songbird with the music? I haven't really looked closely to see what that music is, but I wouldn't buy that picture unless it was of a song that was like my favorite song or meant something to my family. Now, I'm a Christmas kind of person, and if I had a Santa Claus that was somehow painted for me, that somehow had things in my family that my family could hang every Christmas, that had things that meant something. See, there are people who paint on commission. Somebody says, "Here, paint my daughter," or whatever. But for somebody for you to be able to talk to people and find out, see where this has huge value to other people is now. A picture of my dog, a painting of my dog, that's one thing. But for me to be able to give the painting of Carver to my wife, that's like double happiness. I have a gift for my wife that she couldn't go buy for herself. It's Carver. I actually, most of the people I know have favorite songs. People that I would, buy $1,000 piece of art for. I know some people who have written some songs. I'm already thinking about, what do I want to do with this? So I'm just saying, when you connect your passion with their value, it's like, my son with his business. His business, it's not about knives. He makes these incredible one-of-a-kind knives, but the business is not about knives. If it's about knives, there's a lot of knife makers. But his business is about the look on somebody's face when their friend or their spouse gives them a one-of-a-kind item that's what you're selling. So I could talk for a long time about this, Yvonne, but I really want to urge you to consider yourself, to not only understand that you are doing some amazing things working at that church and how you're helping in huge ways at that church in ways that you might never know, but you are making a difference there. But I think you also ought to really begin to connect and paint specifically. All right. See, I love the Christmas ball. I love that red Christmas ball, but I'm also thinking, what else could be done in there? I mean, I wonder, what would a painting be like if you said to somebody, can you let me borrow 10 objects or give me a picture of 10 things that mean something huge to your family? I mean, what about an oil painting that has Daddy's old turkey call in it? Or how about an oil painting of the kitchen or the oil painting of the back porch or something that has sprinkled through the picture actual items from a family? I'm just thinking, this is how I want you to think about value for other people, okay? And where your passion can create value for them. Because when you prove it, you're going to be going and blowing. You're going to wish I had never said this, because you're going to be painting so much, you're just not going to have time to process any data. Okay? Okay. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing what mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk, shake hands with the kids you meet, and make sure you have an answer to the question, hey, what conspiracy theory do you really believe? So, till next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme, written and performed by Sugarcane J. Catering provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by the Snowbirds of Orange Beach, pointing us to the supermarkets with free cups of coffee and giving us endless lessons about how they do it back home.